Hello,
Hello.
welcome. All right, you guys. So if you are joining us live, find the chat, say hello, let us know that you are here. This is the second episode of the Inner Money Flow radio show. We are so freaking excited.
So excited. We have all of the technology happening.
Almost all of it.
Okay, yeah, almost all of it. It is, we're having a lot of fun with this radio show, and we are super pumped to be here and with you guys. And today's episode is one that we get especially excited about because it's all about inner guidance.
Yeah, it's all about connecting to your inner guidance and then using that for clarity in your business. And this is probably like the most important thing. This is the most important thing that we can be doing here on earth as humans, right? Waking up to our soul and tapping in and using that and everything that we do. And so today we are going to dive into that. If you have questions about connecting to your inner guidance, please put them in the chat. Let us know. We want to answer those. That's the cool thing about doing this live is we can answer those questions. If you are new to the show, how we kind of run this is we do Q&A, we do affirmations, we do something to play with, an experiment to play with, an experience for the week. And I see Natalie's here. Hey, Natalie, welcome. If you're totally new to us, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Peter.
Yes, and we are the creators of Inner Money Flow, which is a spiritual approach to business, a heart-centered approach to business, all about doing the inner work.
Yeah, I've been playing with, this is a new age approach to business, because we are just shifting more and more and more to this. For many years, we've learned about and heard about manifestation. All of this is manifestation is the surface level to what we're talking about. So if you've ever been called to that, if you can remember any experts that you followed that would talk about all these little hacks for manifestation, that's our starting point, and we go so much deeper into that because manifestation is just one aspect of it, and that's kind of like a good entry point to a lot of the stuff that we're talking about.
But a lot of the manifestation techniques don't really work. I find if you don't have the really strong foundation that we're going to be talking about, like the inner guidance, so that you are manifesting what you actually desire, like what is at your soul level. Same with self-love and releasing judgment and all of those things.
Yeah, and understanding. I feel like this is a whole nother show topic that we're kind of
Are you trying to keep me on track?
But yeah, it's and then it's what happens if you're focusing on manifesting something and then it's not showing up? Figuring out, because there is a way. We can all figure that out. But to do that, you have to be tapping into your own inner guidance. And so today's topic is connecting with your inner guidance so that you can have clarity in your business decisions.
So let's kick it off with why is it important to tap into your inner guidance? And you guys, when we say inner guidance, we mean your higher self, we mean your soul. All of us are unique, right? And we have our own souls, our own life purpose, our calling, experiences we're here to learn on this planet. And so when we use the word inner guidance, we're talking about going within your soul, going into your heart, moving out of your mind, right? Like the thinking, the logical, and going to that higher version of yourself.
Yeah. I think that I think all of us here in this show right now, those tuning in live, and if you're listening to this just in general, I think that we all know that we are more than our body. There is more to us than this. I think all of us kind of know that. And so all of this it's all kind of part of the same thing. And Sarah and I, we've been learning a lot of this stuff, but in a very intensive way. I would say almost this last year, very, very, very intensive. And it's because there's a lot more going on than what we can experience with our five senses. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so basically this is possible. And I think that you believe that this is possible. I feel like that's like the starting point because it's like we're going to go into inner guidance and yeah. And so where should we start?
Yeah, let's
The
talk about,
importance of
we
inner
see
guidance?
you guys are hopping in here. If you have questions, please add them. We want to talk about it. But so one of the main things, and like I said at the beginning, why this is so important is because your inner guidance is going to tell you what is right for you, right? A lot of times we go outside of ourselves, and I've shared this so many times on the podcast, so I'm not going to get into like how I realized I was going outside of myself. You can listen to past episodes of the Why Can't I podcast for that. But I was looking for other people to tell me what to do on my health journey, my healing journey, and what works for other people doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It doesn't mean it's going to be the most joyful path for you. So when you tap into your inner guidance, it is a surefire way to know what you should be doing, like what you should be investing in with your business, what you should be doing for your diet, right? Like we all know in terms of diet, like from being on this planet for so long, it's like one diet does not work for every single person, right? The same is true in business. Like one method is not going to work for every single person. And so how do we find the best method for ourselves? We tap into our inner guidance. So that, very like broadly stated, that is one reason why I'm so passionate about helping more people wake up to their higher self and their soul and what they're here to experience.
Yeah, I think we have for sure gotten way too comfortable at looking at what other people are doing and emulating that. Feeling like we want to be part of the group, feeling like this is it's a safe thing to do. I feel like as kids, you kind of go through that process, and I know I did, where it's like you just feel more comfortable when you're kind of part of a group or a collective,
yeah.
And you guys are all kind of like having like a shared experience, shared beliefs. But what's happening is you're basically just you're not acting from what's true for you and what's best for you. Because I think that we all do want community, but when we just kind of like take our beliefs and say, hey, you know what? It's not important what I have inside me, and I'm just going to say yes to whatever this group is doing. Then that's where you start to that you're immediately deviating from what's best for you, and I think that. Yeah, this is kind of like where we are. It's like then when we're in business, we're always looking at other people. It's just automatic. I mean, it's almost like when you're in school, you're learning from all these like experts, I mean, who's writing your textbooks, who are all these like
the conditioning,
important people in history. And then come to realize, Sarah and I were just talking about this last night, some of these like most important, influential people in history were following their inner guidance.
Nobody talks about that, by the way. It's like they worked so hard, they were so smart, but it's like no, they were tapped in, and like there is information about experts like Albert Einstein, who was using his inner guidance, but it's like a very small portion. Well, maybe it's a very small portion of people talking about that, or maybe we're all buying in to this collective belief that we have to work hard and all of these experts worked hard, right? And so that's something there, like we are all connected. We are all connected and we can all thrive and have abundance, right? And so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if you're buying into this universal belief of life is hard, I have to work hard, I have to look outside of myself. This is the one business model. I have to be consistent. I have to show up everywhere. It's like, well, then that is when it can be problematic and you can end up living a life that isn't yours, one that you are not excited to show up for, or one that is very limited.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one thing that we know for sure is that you can work hard. You can be a hard worker. But the things that you're working at, you're limited to whatever those things can help you accomplish for yourself and in your life. But when you open up to your inner guidance, those things that you might have been working hard at, now all of a sudden you have different things. You have more things. You have unlimited possibility of things. And so what that makes all the difference. That's what makes you a powerful person. You can actually do less because you're working on more of the right things. Does that make sense? Because if we're all working on the same things, like in business, these are the important things. Okay, so we're literally all doing, for the most part, we're all working on the same things. But those unique things that are going to be perfect for you and are in alignment for you and what you can accomplish, those are going to make all the difference. And that's how you step into your power.
Yeah. So connecting with your inner guidance, another thing that I believe a lot of people want is they want to not be controlled by people in their life, right? I hear often, we run Inner Money Flow. It is our group program. It's a live program. Some of you guys are in it who are watching live with us. And one of the things that we hear often when we do the group sessions and we're working with people is, this person, my spouse, is controlling me or bringing my energy down, or this is bringing my energy down, or this is happening, or, I feel manipulated. And it's like, when you are connected to your inner guidance, you have so much awareness of your energy and you can control what is happening with your energy and how people are affecting you or not. So if you feel like you cannot maintain a high vibration, it could be because you're not connected to your inner guidance.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, it's a lot of this inner guidance stuff, like how you really know where you're at with it is through awareness, because that's how you know, are you acting on your own inner guidance or are you just following? And that's where it's, that's where you need to be kind of like moving into, and we're going to give you some ideas of like how you can move into that. But once you start to become more aware, then you start to be more in control of your own experience. Yeah. And then so other people can't have as much influence over you. It's basically you stepping into your power as an individual.
Yeah. And I do want to say with this, I think a lot of times, again, like fear is such a universal belief that we have as a society that we are shifting out of. And I'm very excited about it. But so many times it's like, and I fell into this pattern a few weeks ago where it's like, I don't want other people to affect me, so I'm going to distance myself. I'm going to avoid them, right? But what happens when you do that is you go into that fear, you go into that doubt, and you lower your vibration. And so then you're open and available for more low vibration thoughts, feelings, interactions, and people. So, when we're talking about this, again, like we have a full training on this in Inner Money Flow, but just to kind of like throw this out there, like the main thing I'll say about this is like, keep your vibration high. Instead of going from fear, I don't want people to control me, go to love, right? Go to like, I'm opening my heart. I'm shining my light so bright that other people can then raise their vibration to that level too. Yeah. Anything else you want to share in terms of like why connecting to your inner guidance is so important? Like anything that stand out to you?
I think tapping into your inner guidance that's how you really, that's what helps you know exactly what is for you. And it's like, again, like we're so used to following what everybody else is doing. And like when you're tapping into like your own self, it's like now you're able to navigate your life in the best way possible for you. And I think some of this is, I will say, like there is, when you're first tapping into your inner guidance, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like, is this even possible? I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, okay, we're going to be helping you guys tap into your inner guidance. What's going to be coming up? The first thing that comes up is, but can I actually do this? Like, I guess I can get behind this and believe in this, but what does this even look like? And this is where it's important to just be open to it and allow your imagination to be part of the experience of your inner guidance. Our imagination is so key, and we talk about this a lot in like our Inner Money Flow trainings, because your imagination is the closest thing that you have. It's outside of your intellectual mind, your left brain. It's more in like the intuition side of like your right brain, and it's closer to like your soul. And so you're able to kind of tap into that, and it helps you kind of move in that direction. If you're with your imagination, it's like, if you think you're just making it up, be okay with that. Maybe I am making it up, maybe I'm not.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like when you're tapping in your inner guidance, you're going to your center, you're finding like a calm, relaxed, balanced state, and then you're working on, you're posing questions. And we're not going to be able to talk about everything for inner guidance today. There just won't be enough time, but you're posing questions, and then you're getting thoughts and feelings and ideas, and it's a little bit different for everybody. And this is where the imagination is so important, because some people will see images and pictures. Some people will just get feelings and sensations in their body. Some people will have thoughts and ideas. Yeah. And if it's coming right after you've been in a centered state and you've asked for guidance, or direction, then that's probably what it is. As long as you're not in a state of fear, you're detaching and you are in your centered state. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say about imagination, if you are someone who feels like, I don't really have an active imagination, or this feels like really hard for me, one of the things that was really helpful for me was creating time and space for this. And all of this is tied together in terms of business, because so many business owners that we talk to, they're trying to do all of the things. So they don't have time to do the inner work, right? Because they're kind of like following what everybody else is doing, like trying to show up everywhere, trying to hustle their way, work hard to get the result. And so to activate like your imagination and connect with your higher self and really get the life and the business and the reality you want, like you have to create time. And the cool thing is you will get more time running your business through your soul and your higher self, because instead of like trying all of these things, you'll just try the one thing and it will be the perfect fit. And so I want to encourage you, if you're like, I don't have time for that, or like I have so much work to do, it's like, what if you could spend some time tapping in to your imagination, your inner guidance, you set some time to get quiet, and then that allowed you to have the download of exactly what you're supposed to work on to get your gift to the people who need it most.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like you start today, if you haven't already, kind of like getting quiet and tapping into that. And I think we're going to be talking a little bit more about this toward the end of the show. And, but over time, you'll get more and more comfortable with it. But in the beginning, you're like, am I making this up? But it's like, for Sarah, it's like, but does it really matter? Because if you are then going to implement it, and this is where it's like acting from in your business and acting from a place of joy and working on the things that light you up and excite you. That's why this is so important. And that's where this leads into, is like, how do you take your inner guidance and translate that into, moving forward with your business, creating a business, growing your business, anything that you want, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It opens up unlimited potential. If you are in a place where, just to kind of give you an example, like the way that we came about Inner Money Flow and doing this work and helping entrepreneurs and business owners is I realized, the model of a successful business, it excludes so many people if we have to show up everywhere and we have to be on camera and if we all have to fit into this box, what about the people who don't fit into the box? It doesn't work. And then it's like, well, that's just one belief that so many of us who have done marketing programs and online business for so long have fallen into, right? And just even on my Facebook page, it's crazy. I'll get on and I'll just see all of these people sharing their truth as if it is the truth, right? And if you are just always consuming and you're not aware of your inner guidance and and that this is not all true, you can fall into that. And then it's like, how will I ever write my book, get enough money, enough clients, if I'm trying to follow this super specific path. It's like, what if we decide that there are more options?
Yeah. Yep. This is a great place for me to just kind of pop in here and say, like, if you want to follow your inner guidance, you're going to have to start to disconnect from all of the messaging that just doesn't feel like it serves you. If you're following somebody and like their content stresses you out, you need to unfollow them. You absolutely need to unfollow them. You need to stop bringing that information in. If you're watching TV shows, if you're watching movies, if you're listening to podcasts, what else? I mean, if you have other people that are just in your life, as you start to do this work, they're going to start to kind of fall away. There isn't really anything you have to do, so you don't have to worry too much about this. But what happens is, like, as you start to change, your reality changes. And those people that surround you are also going to be changing as well. Because we all know you can't change other people. We all have to change ourselves, And by you changing yourself, it inspires change in other people as well.
Part of this work is just being, is less doing and more being. So again, so many of us are programmed from childhood where it's like, I need to make things happen. I need to do more. And part of this is just, can you be aware? Can you move from your head to your heart, right? And stay in that place and keep your heart open. And can you observe things and use your imagination? That is part of this work. That is the first step. And you listening to the show today, I guarantee you will take away things that you need and you will start making changes. It just naturally happens.
Katie, I see you in the comments. I'd have no idea where to even begin. And it's like with what Sarah was just saying, it's like, don't worry about it. That's coming up, and you don't have to be afraid of that. Honestly, the way that this works is all you have to do is hold the intention of doing some of these things that we were talking about. As long as you hold that intention, you will start moving in that direction. And your life will begin to start to show you opportunities of things that you can do. And then it's just a matter of saying yes to those things that are coming up for you, that are just showing up, because it's like you've proclaimed your new intention in your direction. Now all of a sudden the situations, occurrences, coincidences, now they're starting to show up. And so now it's just, you have to be able to say yes to those, or willing to say yes to those.
Yeah.
And it's a very exciting thing. This is the beginning. And Katie, you absolutely can do this.
Okay, so some more tips for you if you're like, okay, what are some other things? What are some other ways that I can actually tap into my inner guidance? One thing that you can do is be aware when you have a decision to make, if you are going to other people, places, going to your mind for the answer, right? So in business, if you're thinking about investing in something, if you're thinking about doing an email or a post or, a social media thing, and you're looking to see what other people are doing, you're going outside of yourself, you're overthinking it, you're really in your logical mind, right? One thing you can do is you can sit and get quiet and you can say, soul, is this the right decision for me? Should I move forward with this? And then you have to be quiet and listen and wait for the answer to come. That is one really easy practice you can do.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
You like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You already talked about a media detox. That's another way, right? If you're, again, consuming, try not to consume. What would happen if you didn't consume for a week and you just were connected to yourself and that was like the thing guiding you and leading you?
Yeah, that's a very... It's a very different thing, and we've talked about a few moments in this where it's like, in terms of consuming all the information, like you actually, when you start to do this, you need less and less of that, because through your inner guidance, you're actually able to tap into these ideas and things that you're supposed to be doing. You're kind of going to be led to them. you don't need to be cramming your brain full of information. And so when you stop the inflow of stuff coming in, now you're able to just kind of work with what's already there. You can release things that just have never like felt right, didn't serve you. You can start kind of doing like this inner work, you know, and inner work is basically, it's kind of like personal development, you know, but it's working out in terms of what we do. A lot of it is like working on like your beliefs, your past programming, and really it's like picking up on all of the things that have been creating resistance to what you truly want in your life. You know, if you feel like you're doing all the things that you should be doing and not the things that you really want to be doing, there's always a lot of things that are coming up around that. And it's different for everybody. Everybody has different everybody's had like different upbringing and training, and so it's like we all have things that we still need to learn, but not nearly as much as we need to unlearn. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, let's go into the next segment. So inner money flow, we're gonna talk about that for a little bit. Yay! What do you guys think? You like it? Okay, so this is part of the show where we do a brief, what is inner money flow, talking about it. And this week I thought it would be nice to let you know if you are having a hard time figuring out like how to do this, how to tap into your inner guidance. One thing that our members in Inner Money Flow really like is we have a guided meditation and visualization on how to move from your mind into your heart, right? And when you're tapped into your heart, you are tapped into your inner guidance, you are tapped into your soul, and you can get those downloads. So part of this process is trusting yourself and realizing that all of everything that you need is already within you, right? And so it doesn't mean that you're never gonna invest in something else for your business or like buy a book, but you are not going to allow somebody else to tell you, hey, this is the book for you. You're going to check in with your inner guidance, or you're going to get a download that's like, hey, you should get a book on yoga poses. And you're like, okay, that's interesting, but I trust myself, so let me do that, right? So if you have a really hard time getting out of the logical part of your mind, one thing that we do in Inner Money Flow is help you go within at a much deeper level.
Yeah. So we have a training on this, and we have a visualization that you can do, which our people really like. And then there's also a guided meditation, audio as well.
And we also have a group session, so where we work through this with members. And if you are new to Inner Money Flow, we do a group session every single week. And so we have one tomorrow where you will join us on Zoom, and we'll work through this with you and everybody else. And the group session this week is all about unpacking business strategies. So this would be a great one if you have this idea of like what you should be doing in your business, and there's a lot of shoulds, and it's not so much like I get excited and I want to do this. We're going to unpack it and talk about what would be more aligned with your higher purpose and your inner guidance.
Yeah, that's cool. That actually, I feel like some of that came up at the beginning of what we were talking about, where it's like we're used to following everybody else's guidance or their strategies and their methods, and it's just like it's all over the place. And this is going to be really helpful for the person that has really been operating with all of those. And so we're unpacking the business strategies, and we're basically like releasing those ones that just like never really felt that great and just don't really make sense for you right now. That being said, we also have people that show up to the group sessions unrelated to the topic. Things come up, just like with this training, we have an idea of what we're talking about, but things come up. We're going to share them. Yeah. And so we encourage our members to do the same thing. You come to a group call, even though this is the topic, if you're listening and then all of a sudden it starts to kind of go in a different direction, we're all for it.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah.
It's very fluid, it's very natural, and it's really important because we're all having a shared experience on this call. And so, our members they'll speak up and they'll share something, and then we'll go in a different direction, but it's always like this like perfect experience. And sometimes it leads back in, and sometimes it inspires new trainings or just different conversations that we can be having. And so So yeah, group sessions, they're just like, we love them so much. Like we really look forward to it. I mean, we love it so much. Like we love doing this radio show with you guys. We love doing our weekly trainings in Inner Money Flow. And then we also love doing the group sessions as well, which usually follow the training. And it's a way for us to all to integrate what we've learned. And yeah, it's definitely, these are like the highlights of our week, is connecting with you guys and making a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited for tomorrow's session because I'm curious like what strategies everybody's going to bring that they want to unpack. I think it's going to be really interesting to see. And I also imagine, like I'm getting this download, that a lot of people are going to come with like all of these strategies that maybe they haven't implemented, but they're kind of floating around in their mind. So it'll be fun to like unpack that, you know, and get to the core of what they really feel passionate about and what they get excited about showing up for. So I think that will be really cool. Yeah. If you are interested in joining us, so Inner Money Flow, it is like a 12-week roadmap to connect with your inner guidance and grow your business, but then it's lifetime access. So after the 12 weeks, you will be really living this in your business. You will be confident, you'll be loving it. But then afterwards, you can still come to the weekly group sessions like forever. And the reason that we do this is because this is ongoing work. There's always something to unpack, dive deeper into, connect, share. A lot of times during our group sessions, members are just like, oh my gosh, I had this amazing experience, or this happened, or have you experienced this? And so it's just a nice place to connect with people who are stepping into this new model of abundance and growing businesses and living life through our higher selves.
Yeah, I love it. If you go to our website, innermoneyflow.com, you can learn about the program. And if you have questions or anything, like you're wondering, like, is this good for you? Like, if this is going to will work for you, depending on whatever,
Don't
like
tell them to email us or message us. What should they do if they're wondering if it's right for them?
Well, yeah. So this is actually one thing that I've actually been planning on adding to that page, is like for you to go into your inner guidance. And this is actually, I'm really glad that we're doing this training on the radio, because I feel like this is something that I want everybody to have this. I don't feel like people should have to pay to get access to their inner guidance. The stuff that we work on Inner Money Flow, it's so much more than this. Inner guidance is just the very beginning. But sometimes you can have resistance around even just joining a program, or it's just like you're questioning it. It's like, oh, is this going to be too far out there? And that's where the inner guidance really is key. And to be able to trust yourself, to take action on what feels right.
Yep.
And so.
Yeah. So go with, if you're thinking about joining, if you've been thinking about joining, like go within and see what comes up. And one thing, that could be helpful for you deciding if you want to join Inner Money Flow or just anything in your life is, if there's something that you want to do, but you're feeling fearful, afraid, doubt, overwhelmed, anything, you can write out your fears, like what are you afraid will happen, write them out, whatever they are, and then rewrite them best case scenario, like why you can join this program, do this thing, and what will happen, right? And shifting it into that higher vibration and see how that feels. That's a really good practice for anything. It's kind of like limiting beliefs, but it's like you can do anything that you want to do, right? As long as you actually want to do it. But we do have to get out of like this like fear cycle that a lot of us have been programmed to be in. Yeah.
Yeah, and it feels so good to not be controlled by your fears. Because like for me, I didn't think that I had a lot of fears kind of like influencing me and coming up in my thoughts. But like honestly, just this last like 6 or 9 months, I mean, it's just been so much, there's been so much improvement around that, and I was just like always in a state of worry. I had no idea, and it was just little stuff, and you feel so free when you're able to kind of move beyond that. Yeah.
Fear is it's very limiting. It's very controlling. You miss out on a lot. Like one of the things that I've experienced from doing this work is just more joy and happiness throughout my days. And Peter mentioned to me, a few months ago, he's like, you're so much more joyful and happy, and like your energy seems like so stable. Like in the past, running business, you would I would kind of like come around the corner and wonder like, how's your energy going to be? How's your mood going to be? And again, like him with the fears, I wasn't even aware of that. I didn't realize that. But looking back, I remember so many times where it's like, okay, I have to do all of these things. And, I'm a business owner, so I'm a problem solver. I bought into that. It's like, I remember so many marketing experts were like, if you're a business owner, you're a problem solver. So like, that's your job. You're always going to have to solve these problems. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have all these problems. You know what I mean? Like, I want to share my gifts. I want to help people. I want to have fun. I want to have a good time. I don't want to be a problem solver. Like, I want to help people. But if I buy into this belief that there's going to be all these problems, guess what's going to happen? There's going to be all these problems for me every day,
Yep.
Okay, let's dive into questions. So now we are going to answer some questions from you guys. First, I want to read what's coming up for Martha. Martha is an inner money flow. She's sharing kind of how she taps into her inner guidance. I think it's really powerful. She says, I begin by sitting in a chair in a quiet area at home, closing my eyes and taking a big breath in and out. Then I try to focus my attention on my breath. If any thoughts come to mind, I acknowledge them, then go back into focusing on my breathing. It centers you and brings a feeling of peace. You can start with a minute or more. Yes, I love it.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. And yeah, For some people, I think that it's nice to, I think we can all benefit from slowing down and just like going within, For some people, that can look more like a formal meditation practice. And for others, it doesn't need to be such a formal meditation practice. We've actually met some spiritual teachers that don't have such a formal meditation practice. And that kind of surprised us a little bit in the beginning. But it actually makes sense because we're all a little bit different. But Martha, I'm very similar. For me, I like to just like go within. That's how I like to start my day, honestly, is to just like really kind of like go within and kind of get this baseline for how I'm feeling at that moment, first thing in the morning. And then it gives me a reference point for as I move through the day. This is one training that we're going to be talking about soon. Sarah and I, we're going to be talking about energy. And it's something that has been coming up and we've been working with a lot lately. And knowing when you're taking on other people's energy and how that affects you. And you can also influence other people and lift them up with your energy as well. But it all starts with becoming aware of your own first. And so there's so much power with just connecting with yourself.
Yeah, permission to do it your way. Permission to do it however it feels good to you. I know sometimes hearing how other people do it, it's like, oh, like, let me try that. But if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't mean that it's not working for you or you can't tap into your inner guidance. It just means that way isn't available. And one thing I noticed was when I was dealing with like a health challenge, I had to meditate, get quiet for a lot longer and more consistently to get that guidance. But for me, I always knew in my heart that this was the right path for me. It was like this deep knowing. And so even though I wasn't getting these like, hey, Sarah, you should do this stretch or you should call this person, I think sometimes it's like, for me, I'm like, I want a loud voice in my head, which maybe some people are like, that would scare me. I don't want voices in my head, but I'm like, I want this loud, hey, this is the path for you. But in order for me, I had to be consistent with it and spend more time and just be open to how my higher self was communicating with me, right? And not judge it. You got to release the judgment. And it's just like, cool, this is what happened today. This isn't what happened today.
Yeah. And the expectations as well. Yeah.
Expectations, attachment. Okay.
Yeah.
Question time. If you are watching live and you have questions, put them in the chat. Otherwise, I have one.
What do we got?
Okay. So this business owner says, how do I know when it's my inner guidance saying this isn't for you versus fear? And she went on to talk about social media and like, do I not like doing reels and videos, or am I just afraid to do these things in business? So how do I know when it's my inner guidance saying this isn't for you versus fear. Do you want to start?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I always just think about how it works for me first and what kind of comes up. And for me, I always know when fear is involved. So it's like, okay, am I not supposed to do this, or is it because I'm afraid to do this? That's kind of like how I'm seeing it. And like, so the question to me is like, am I afraid to do it, or do I just not really want to do it? Mm-hmm. And those feel very different for me. I think that we all kind of know when we're afraid of something. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's important to believe that there's a very big difference between these. I think that with our minds, we can start to convolute things and make things a little bit more complicated than they actually are. Mm-hmm. Are you feeling afraid, or do you just not really want to do it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I love that. Okay. For this question also, like, I hope you're listening to this episode if you submitted this, because everything that we talked about before this will help you with that, right? So it's like, how do I know it's my inner guidance or fear? Well, awareness, like tapping into and starting to listen and starting to take some time away from everybody else telling you like what you should be doing, right? When we start to have that media detox and we start listening and using our imagination, it becomes very clear, like Peter was saying, what is fear and what is for you. And just to give you guys an example, like Peter doesn't really consume like social media or like media or really anything like that. Like for our business, I've always been like the social media person. And if you're the same way with that, there is like this information that comes in, right? Because you're on the apps, you're engaging with people you can't help. But for me, I kind of, when I'm using the apps, I'm like, I'm here to share my message and I'm here to connect with whoever I'm here to connect with. I'm not scrolling and looking around because like there's nothing that I need to learn for my business or for my life that is on these apps. It's inside myself, you know? And if there is something, I believe it's gonna find its way to me. So the first thing I would say is like, you will be able to do this with more practice. You will be able to tell the difference by building a stronger connection to your inner guidance. And then the last thing that I'll say about this one is, what do you want to do? Mm-hmm. You know, like, do you want to do social media and reels? If you don't want to do them, like, you don't have to do them. That's like the coolest thing is like the work that we're talking about is you following what you feel excited about. If you feel excited to do a reel, do a reel. And guess what? I bet that reel's going to it's going to perform better. It's going to reach the person, the people that need it, if that's exactly what you want to be doing. Mm-hmm. So that is a good indicator too, is like, what do you feel like doing? I know I said that was the last one, but the really last one that I'll share is pay attention to like your energy going into it and like the state that you've been in. If you are going into it being in a fearful state, then like probably fear is going to come up, right? Mm-hmm. So just again, checking in with like your emotions. This is just a good practice, you know, before you work on your business, like get yourself set up right. Get yourself in that vibration that you want to be creating things and helping people, you know, take mm-hmm. a few minutes to say, okay, this is where I'm at.
Yeah, we actually have a training that's like, it's all about overcoming fear, doubt, and overwhelm. And we go much more deeper into fear and what that looks like. A lot of the things that we've talked about, we either have a training or training is coming. But we have a training on most of these kind of like foundational topics in Inner Money Flow.
Yeah, if you guys want to join Inner Money Flow, it's just innermoneyflow.com, and you can check it out. And that's kind of cool too. That's actually like a whole website. So if you're a business owner, you know, like a lot of times people build sales pages. Like we've taught coaches how to build sales pages. Mm-hmm. We built a whole website for it. And why do you want to talk about that? Just like being like called to do, you know?
Yeah, this was definitely part of my inner guidance. This is something that, it seems like more work. So my mind wouldn't want to do it. This actually, with the question, I was thinking like, how do you tell the difference between your mind and your inner guidance? Because this was kind of like fear versus inner guidance. Mm-hmm. And that was the type of thing that came up for me is like, if it comes up over and over again, and it's something that you wouldn't normally do, but you're kind of like, excited to do it, maybe just even like a little bit, it's like, okay, entertain that, mm-hmm. you know? because your mind generally wants to just operate off of like what it believes it should do, what you've done in the past. And that's how your past can actually continue to recreate itself going forward and into your future. And so, yeah, for me, I was like, okay, yeah, like for Inner Money Flow, we have a sales page where you can learn about the program, but it's like there's so much more to this program that it made sense to like these shows that we're sharing, to add those to a blog, to have like a contact page, we have like these spirit paths that you can come in, and it's like, are you working on fear, doubt, and overwhelm? Are you coming in and you need help with burnout? Are you on a healing journey? There's like a lot of different pathways that we're developing, and everybody, the thing with this program is it works for a lot of different people. And we're not used to doing a program like this and offering this because all of our business training says not to do that. It says, no, if you're trying to focus on everybody, you're actually not going to be talking to anybody specifically because they're going to feel like it's not for them. And so this is where having the website was going to be important. And you're going to have little things like this for your business as well, and how you can share your gifts, where it's like, this seems a little unconventional for people running a business in this industry or whatever, you're kind of like identifying with. Then like, that's kind of a beautiful thing, because now you're being different. Now you're being unique. Now all of a sudden you're interesting and you're not blending in with everybody else. That's a desirable direction to be moving in, I think, as a business, because it's important to kind of separate yourself and be like, hey, no, like I'm doing something different over here. So yeah.
Another thing that is different about Inner Money Flow that, I think is just like good to share is the format of the program is different, where, this is a lifetime access program. All the other programs we've done have had an end point, right? And so we made it so it's like 12 weeks to tap in, but then you keep going with us. And so that is different. And when we were doing it, it was like, wait, like, can we actually do this? Like, are people gonna like this? Is this gonna work? And we would have doubt come up, like, oh, should we have an end date? Because the price point is lower for a lifetime access program. And we would kind of have these things, but then every time it would be time to like, okay, maybe we should change it. And I just want to share this to just be transparent, because maybe you're experiencing this too. You want to do something differently. But for us, we would be connected to our higher self and be like, no, this feels really good. And then we would go into a group session and members are saying, I love the format. This is so great. This is so accessible. Like, I love the group sessions. I love the trainings. I love that I can pop out and pop back in, right? And like, the way this program came together, it flowed so easily. It's like it almost created itself. And same with when Peter did the website. It came together so fast, and that's because we've been in a flow state. And we talk about this in the program, when you're in a flow state, time it zooms by. Your projects are very easy to get done. It doesn't feel like you're using as much energy.
Yes.
So
we also have a training on the flow state as well. You can see a lot of like the trainings that we have on like our sales page. Okay. So next, are you ready to move in? We have an affirmation?
We have an affirmation.
Okay. I'm going to write it in the chat as well.
Okay. Today's affirmation that you can play with, hang on to, write it down, see if it resonates is, I take time to go within and connect before I act. I take time to go within and connect before I act. This, I think, would be a good one to put on your desk, before you are starting to work on your business, to email people, to call people. A lot of times when we connect with people, it's like there's a right time for it. If you call someone because you've been thinking about them, they're like, oh, hey, like I was thinking about you too. It's like you guys are in alignment. You guys are connected. The same thing can happen with your business. You post something at the right time because you feel connected and called to post it. And it reaches the person who's like, I've been looking for a program like this. I've been looking for someone just like you. Or, I had this opportunity. I want to share it with you. And so just permission to go within before you act. And, we talked a lot about tapping into your inner guidance at the beginning of the day. I think that's really important. For me, I can kind of get lost in the middle chunk. I feel at the beginning of the day, doing the morning routine, I'm very tapped into my higher self. End of the day, tapped in. But in the middle, I can forget and I can kind of get going on my old programming of doing and the to-do list and emails. And so having a reminder oh, and the more you do this, for me, it's really becoming second nature, right? It's first nature. That's what we are, we are connected, but I'm really in that pattern. But just, maybe this is something that you write down so you remember. It's hey, take a pause before I act. I have plenty of time, of all the time that I need. I don't need to do a million things when I can do one thing that has a bigger impact.
Yes. Yeah. I like that a lot. Post it somewhere or do a variation of it. I feel like affirmations, sometimes if you change the wording a little bit to make it a little bit more meaningful to you, by all means. Yeah, but this could be a really good starting point. It's a good reminder too, because this is the direction that if you like what we're talking about, this is how you can implement it. It's just as simple as that, where it's you're taking time and you're connecting and then you're acting. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Now it's time for the experience that you can play with this week, if you choose. And I think this will be really good if you are wanting this connection, if you're wanting to connect with your inner guidance. So commit to making decisions this week based on your inner guidance. Before you act, you tap into your inner guidance. Keep integrity with your word. And then this is really important too, right? So you're tapping into your inner guidance before you're making decisions. If you say you want to do something, if you get the nudge, call this person, do this thing, you actually act on it, because this is a big part of the trust and being able to see how powerful this is. Because if you haven't mastered this yet, your old programming might be this is silly, this isn't working, I don't, all of that mind chatter, right? That mind chatter, that might come up. And so we have to act on it. And then the next part is to notice how things turn out for you. What happens when you tune in, then you take that action that you were guided to take, and then if it turns out well, P.S. it usually does, or you get a lesson you needed to learn, then celebrate that, right? Hey, I listened to my inner guidance. It went really well. This happened. Yay me.
Yay me. Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, this is a really good experience that we think that you would enjoy. This is really this is the beginning, and this is just kind of some of the most basic way that you can kind of start to implement this stuff, and then to be able to see the effect that it has. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So something to play with starting today, starting tomorrow morning. The sooner you kind of take action on this, probably the better though, because it's more fresh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So really, once you start connecting to your inner guidance, you will not want to go back to the other way. You will not want to look outside of yourself, because you will be taking shortcuts. Life will become easier. It will become more joyful. Business will be more fun, right? You're not going to be stuck in, what should I do? What's the right path for me? Where should I go, right? Or you go down a path and then you're wait, was this a mistake? Should I have done this? It's it gets rid of all of that, and just think of the clarity you will have when you don't have all of that chatter in your mind.
Yep.
And all those opinions from the collective, hey, you're not doing enough, you're not good enough, da 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 da. It's all of that is gone. You're in a new reality. You've created a new reality for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you act on your inner guidance, it's always going to seem like it's less things than you're used to doing. So enjoy your extra time. Mm-hmm. This is extra time for you. That's freedom. And that's what you get when you do this work. It's in the beginning, you'll kind of wonder wait, am I doing something wrong, or things are showing up? You're oh, that was too easy. It's no such thing, This stuff is supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be natural. And we believe you can do this. Yeah, we believe if you start to implement some of this stuff today, you can start to see some change in your life.
Yeah.
How would you like your life to change? Getting clear around that as well. Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Party! The new way, the new model, which is the old way. Like, that's like our soul's way. It's like, hey, you guys forgot how great your life could be. Stop limiting yourself. All right.
Yes.
Play with this. Reach out. Let us know how it goes. And we will be back live. If you're listening to the recording, you can always join us live. innermoneyflow.com/radio every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. If you're in a different time zone, do that conversion. And until next time, bye, friend.
Bye, guys.